Dave and Joe, DNA Sports, Chapter 12 or 13, we don't know, 18, 19. Nice to have you with us on this beautiful day in Chicago. Joe, what do we got?
All right. So we got this article sent by Mikey, Business Insider, about the Yankees.
That's Mike Carrera, our director, engineer, and all around great guy.
He's the guy behind the scenes.
Yes, he is.
So, right here, the Yankees are trying a radical pitching strategy, and it could be the future of baseball. So, basically what they're saying is their percentage of fastballs being thrown in the MLB has gone way down compared to the usual overall in the MLB. And so they're starting to throw a lot more breaking pitches.
What was the usual?
Let's see, 20 years ago, this is one of their facts, a fastball rate of less than 50% would have been unthinkable. Even 2 years ago, there wasn't a team in baseball that threw heat less than half the time. But now the Yankees have a fastball rate of 40.7%, which means almost 60% of the time there's an off-speed pitch being thrown. Slider, curveball, changeup, name it.
And the Astros too?
The Astros as well, yes. And so they're talking about basically the averages being low. For example, the league is hitting 218 on sliders compared to 274 on fastballs. And the Yankees have thrown 25%, more than 25% sliders. And so they're being effective in terms of their off-speed, but it's debatable in terms of, is this really the future because of the wear and tear on the arms, how hard these guys throw, off-season preparation. There's a ton of stuff. And then the hitters, do we change their approach? Because we like to talk, look, fastball, react to an off-speed, especially with two strikes.
High school and pros are totally different.
Yeah, exactly. So, and the pros, they hunt pitches. They're when they look for something, they're guessing ahead of time whether they're looking for a slider or a fastball. But it's like when they're throwing constant breaking balls at 80-something miles an hour, low 90s for some people, and hum a 90-mile-an-hour slider across the plate, what happens to the approach there? I mean, that's tough.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, if you have the right, we always talk a fastball approach and getting out in front, and then when they hang a breaking ball, your bat's out in front, and you hit a mistake out of the ballpark. All the announcers and all the experts in coaching say, hitting off-speed pitches that hang are the easiest thing to hit because it's like right like on a tee. But do we change the approach just to look for breaking balls? Well, no, then fastball percentages go way up because I'm looking for breaking ball. Well, we'll just throw you fastballs.
Yeah, I mean, it's all a game. It's all a game theory scenario.
I think you have to stay with it. I think you have to stay with the same approach.
Well, because you don't want to prepare for something that can't beat you, Like, a slider could beat you if it's really sharp and got a good break and you swing and miss. But if you are preparing for a slider, the fastball will beat you. So, I mean, in that regard, if you prepare for something that in reality can't get blown by you, then you're going to get the real thing blown by you. So
Right. Well, just the team you're talking about, the Yankees, I'm correct me if I'm wrong, there's one guy on that team, on that pitching staff, that can really throw hard. And I bet you I would like to see his percentage of fastballs. That's Luis Severino, who's goes between 98 and 100. And he's like he's the first or second hardest thrower this year in Major League Baseball. So if you have a fastball, then the Yankees don't deviate from that. You're not, I throw 100 and I can spot it. But just because our philosophy now is to throw more breaking balls, you throw more breaking balls too. It depends on who you have. Tanaka, he's a splitter guy. And Sabathia lost his fastball. He just uses that to set up his breaking pitches. He throws fastballs out of the zone and tries to get guys to fish, or he makes them really enticing just off the outside corner, and he gets people out where they're breaking stuff. I'm not familiar with the other pitchers on that team.
Another thing is too, is is it really a new philosophy for them, or are they adjusting to what they have?
I think they're adjusting to what they have.
Because that's one thing.
Look at the Astros.
Yeah. And they're a great system, so
right.
They know they'll adjust. They're not going to just
the Yankees. The Yankees.
Exactly. They're not going to say, "Oh, let's stick to the system." They're going to adjust to what they have.
They've always seemed like they're a step ahead of the competition, even if their teams don't win, because I think they have great coaching throughout the system.
Because even you and I always say, I mean, a great coach, adjusts and adapts to the players. They don't just say, "This is our system."
Right.
You have to follow it because it doesn't work for everybody.
Right. Well, you look at the Astros staff. You got Dallas Keuchel, who's tops out at maybe 89, 90, and he's a lefty, and he's been on a DL. Colin McHugh just came off the DL, so this is a concurrent theme here. He's a curveball pitcher. Lance McCullers throws an 85 to 86 mile an hour curveball, and he's had arm problems. So this theme of is this a revolutionary new way? No, it's gonna break down a lot of pitchers if you're gonna say, well, throw your breaking ball all the time. You keep on throwing a breaking ball with all that stress and all that torque, your arms are gonna fail. And there's a lot of guys that have been drafted. For example, the year Carlos Rodon got drafted, the first guy drafted was Brady Aiken. And he didn't sign with the Astros. And he had Tommy John surgery. A guy who throws 98. Now, maybe he was throwing too hard for his body, but it's also that hammer hook that he had. And those curveballs, those overhand curveballs, sliders are the worst thing on your arm. The split finger fastballs are just as bad. So I don't think there's going to be a trend for that. I just think, like you said, teams adjust to what they have. The Astros have breaking ball pitchers, but I don't think they have a long shelf life.
Yeah, and I also think teams that are doing well right now with that, they're going to adjust if hitters adjust. I mean, that's what makes competition, right? Everyone's always adjusting and trying to get the edge up. If we know you're going to throw a bunch of breaking balls, we're going to hunt the breaking balls. Once we start hunting them, they're going to switch it up. So that's what makes competition great.
You're in order to compete with these teams, they're going to look at the scouting report and say, these guys throw fastballs out of the zone, but they're going to try to get you out on a breaking ball. Or they're going to try to get you out with breaking balls in the dirt and set you up with a fastball. Either way.
Yeah.
So,
and that's what's great about it.
So you look at the scouting report and say, I'm going to get a lot of breaking balls. So, like you're saying, I'm going to adjust my thinking, and I'm going to look for a breaking ball, at every at-bat, depending on the count.
Yeah.
So maybe you've seen the big leagues now. There's 2-0 breaking balls. There's 3-1 breaking balls. That's a world that we really don't know as high school coaches.
Yeah. Well, because it's impressive that, to be able to have command like that, too.
If I have first base open in high school, I said, well, he's expecting a fastball. I don't care if I walk him. So, therefore, like yesterday, we played a championship game for RBI. And there was first base open. I said, throw a 3-1 breaking ball. So the kid popped up. And we had a situation 2 innings later where it was a 2-0 count to a 4-hitter, and I walked him because the pitcher was 2 innings into his start, and the pitch count was rising, and I didn't think that he could spot the breaking ball. I said, okay. We got out of the inning. They didn't score after the first inning. But these guys, they just think totally different. Breaking balls. And again, that's going to really cause some damage to your elbow and damage to your labrum. Not that throwing really hard before you should doesn't either.
I mean, it's all doing damage. It's just the fact that
it's an unnatural motion,
because this is unnatural, and then when you bring this into it, I mean, you're moving your arm how fast with your leg supporting that,
right?
And then you have this motion of.
And again, you just talked about that. The way to have a really long-lasting career is to use your lower body better.
Yeah.
And we just had that on a video, which a lot of people have responded to positively. That if you use your lower body correctly, you're going to get a lot out of your fastball, and you're going to have a longer-lasting career because you're taking the stress off the arm. You say, okay, my arm's getting tired. Okay, so use your legs and use your legs properly. And the other thing also is to use hand speed and not try to muscle up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think when it comes to letting a baseball go, it's more important to think of it as as like this is just the machine that lets the ball go, right? This is the machine that gets the ball from A to B, but this is not what does the work. Because if you think of it as in his arm is phenomenal, it's that's what's doing all the work. That's the stress point. And that's where things break down on you.
Yeah, right. And it's happened so many times. So many really great pitchers with great potential to have a long-lasting career just didn't have great mechanics, and they break down. You know, the older they got, they just couldn't rely on the stuff they had when they were younger, and they broke down. Mark Pryor.
And it gets harder and harder to recover.
Right, Kerry Wood. I mean, these guys broke down. They had surgeries, and that's just an example of two. There's been so many of them, and all these kids now that are getting Tommy John surgeries. I mean, we got Dr. James Andrew, the most. He's out of Birmingham, and he's with that Sports Institute, American Sports Medicine Institute. He said there's so many Tommy John surgeries from young kids, 12 to 16 already. They throw harder than their bodies should let them.
And what do you think's bringing that about, though? I mean,
radar guns. People who aren't qualified to coach, parents who are misinformed.
And then just I feel like the general hype of throwing 90 miles an hour one day, it's like everyone's trying to get there. But really, you don't get there by trying to throw as hard as you can right now. That's not how you get there. If you don't throw 90 right now, you're not going to throw 90 in 2 pitches.
Right. And you've seen kids trying out at a place, and there's clockings on the scoreboard. So as soon as they throw it, they turn around.
Yeah.
So what are you doing? It's not about velocity at the big league level. It's about putting the ball where you want to.
I mean, we've seen 102, 103 mile an hour fastballs get hit for shots.
Right. And you change speeds, and you change locations, you change tilt, everything. But pure velocity is going to get killed.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. If you put something over the plate against a very skilled hitter, they're going to find a way to hit it hard.
Why do you think Michael Kopech, the pitcher that the White Sox got from Chris Sale, isn't up yet with the big leagues with the big club? Well, even in the minor leagues, if he misses his spot with a 101 mile an hour fastball, they tattoo it. I mean, pitching's difficult. You got to be able to throw the ball where you want to. You have to be able to throw.
That plate is not very wide.
Yeah, 18 inches, or 17 inches, whatever it is. But he has to have alternative pitches. Like, I guess he's got a good slider. He's working on a changeup, but when he misses his locations, they kill him. Those down the middle fastballs get hit hard, because this is professional sports, and they get paid for it, and they have families, and they want to be able to, bring a check home, and they're competitive, like you said.
Yeah.
It just goes back to competitive. They're not afraid of 101.
Yeah. Well, and that's the best part, I think, about all of this debate. With should everyone switch the curveballs and stuff? Because if everyone does their homework and they're constantly adjusting, it's never going to stop. That's competition. So they're going to when the moment comes, it's going to be who's more focused in that moment, who's more prepared in that moment. Because on any day, any one team could be better than the other.
Right.
The worst pitcher in the league could the best hitter in the league in that moment. And that's when it's like, all right, who really shows up? And that's why I think competition in general in any sport is awesome.
Yeah.
Because that's really like a true test of like, all right, we did our homework. So like if we do our homework, you don't, there's probably a good chance in the pros at least that you're going to lose. Because you can't slide by on just talent in the pros. But I mean, competition, there's no greater feeling than like really putting your all towards something and feeling the reward of besting your opponent.
Yeah, I mean, you got all these pros, the pitchers and the hitters. What separates the guy who can blow a ball by a guy when it matters, and guys that give up home runs or guys who give up game-winning hits? They're all pros, so what makes him able to do that, or makes these guys able to do that while others can't? Is it competition? Is it a fact that is there another level they can reach in competitive, competitive fire.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely their mindset. When they're put in the spotlight in that situation, they rise to the occasion. I think like they're on another level in terms of their ability to really zone in.
Right.
I mean, that's honestly 100%. They see a challenge and they're like, okay, I'm gonna get after this opportunity. You know, where some people are like, shit.
Yeah, some people
Their
are
backs against the wall a little
right.
bit.
Some people are afraid of the moment, and others crave the moment.
Yeah,
It's just like quarterbacks. Okay, why was John Elway, Dan Marino, and
Or
Peyton
even-
Manning, and
or the way
Tom-
any quarterback has to operate.
and Tom Brady last year? I mean, how was he able to, come from a 25-point deficit to win in overtime? Not that, okay, the defense got tired, but he had to make those plays.
Oh yeah, and you gotta switch things up. You have to see blitzes.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a ton of
And
things
they were
that go
dog
on.
tired, but still, you got to make plays.
That's why I think, especially with football, when you see a quarterback, with 2 minutes left, run down the field, I think that's like a good testament to determine the quality of a quarterback
Right.
in terms of his ability to think on his feet and still make plays. There's a lot that goes into that.
Yeah.
So that's.
And then there's game-winning shots in basketball. A lot of guys don't want to even be near the ball. Other guys, give me the ball.
Yeah.
Or they get fouled. Some guys don't want to be near the free throw line because they said, well, I can hit 90% or 80% when it doesn't matter. But in the last 2 minutes of the game, they shy away from it. Other guys just say, like Michael Jordan, of course, he would just say, give me the ball. I'm gonna make it. If I don't make it, I'm gonna get fouled. I'm gonna make those free throws. And by and large, he did.
And I think that's the best part about the athletes that are like that, though. I mean, I think the ideal scenario for sports is to get every child growing up to want to be the person to make the play. Because like we talked about this before with the kids are being afraid, and there's a fine line between I'm going to make this play, having confidence in it, and not being like, give me the ball. Like, you can't have 9 guys on the field wanting the ball. I mean, only one guy's going to get the ball at the end of the day, and only one guy's going to take the shot in basketball. There's only going to be one quarterback marching down the field. But the point is, when you're in that role, you need to accept it and embrace it. So, like, if you're running a play and it doesn't pan out and the ball ends up in his hands, well, you should want it. Everyone should want it. Right. And the idea is to change the culture and change the mindset around it so that everyone is like, well, here, at the end of the day, this really is just a game of competition, right? Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, no one's going to die. No one's life is over, nothing. Even the loser learns a lot from the loss. Yeah. Possibly more than the winner.
Right.
So, I mean, it's a game of competition, and it's the thrill of that moment.
But you just said it. It's life lessons, too.
Yeah. It's
because how many younger kids are going to play professional sports?
Very, very little.
You know what drives me crazy? In basketball, we go in at halftime, and our coach says, we got to take their best shot in the next 5 minutes. And that's a negative perception. Mm-hmm. They're down 10 points, the other team. So we got to take their best shot. No, we got to finish them off right now. Mm-hmm. You come out there instead of taking their best shot, you bury them. Yeah. And I hate the negative perception of it. We got to take the other. I don't care about the other team.
Yeah, and it's really, especially on young minds, the way you're molding them. I mean, you got to really, the way you phrase things is huge. I mean, I just like to go out and compete. That's what I like to tell them. Like, at the end of the game, the score will be there, right? But if you didn't compete and try 100% to do what you're doing right, who cares what the score is? Because you could beat a team by 10 and play really lackadaisical and shitty, and it's not saying much for you. You know what I mean? Yeah. You do things the right way.
Well, what you just said about, I don't want kids to be afraid.
Yeah.
So you're saying, hey, we're going to take their best shot. Well, that's being afraid. Mm-hmm. You're expecting their best shot instead of attacking back. So I would rather have that attack mode.
And even what we talk about, don't play to someone else's weakness, play to your strength. Right. Right? I mean, if my best pitch is a breaking ball, but I know the hitter is really good at breaking balls, so I decide to throw my fastball, well, I'm playing to my weakness now.
And he's afraid.
Yeah, so I should just play to my strength and do what I do best.
He's afraid of that that hitter's strength. No, you play to your strengths.
Yeah, play to your strengths all the time, unless you have a great fastball with a lot of movement in command, and you also have a good curveball.
Well, this guy's a great fastball hitter. Okay, you have a great fastball.
Yeah.
Okay, here's a challenge, and I'm going to put it in a spot.
It's competition.
That's right, it's competition, and you can't hit it in all four quadrants. I don't care what a great fastball hitter. Now, the best fastball hitter that I've seen from the White Sox, we'll just say one team, was Paul Konerko. Paul Konerko could turn around any fastball, but he had fastballs he couldn't handle, like probably the lower outside quadrant. He probably hit that one to right field, but the up and in and up and away and down and in, he smoked. But there's quadrants you could get to it. And sometimes this guy with great fastballs would beat him. But that's competition. Like you said, It's competition. Hey, Konerko craved it, and he was a psycho because if he made it out, he said, what did I do wrong? And he was always negative in his head, and we became positive, and he said, hey, the pitcher made a good pitch, I'll get him next time. That's when he became a great player and a great hitter.
That's the true understanding of what's going on. You know what I mean? Like, because it's over, it happened, and it's over. And he learned from it.
But he would go back and watch the video.
Yeah, exactly.
And he'd say then he became mechanical.
But in terms of the negativity, dwelling on it,
right?
That's it. Like, he's like, oh.
He was beat already.
Yeah, so what do I learn here? And I'll get him next time. Like, that's the perfect attitude that probably any coach could ask for, because it's not that someone's striking out and they're satisfied. They're just, it's over. So now they just have to think about, how am I going to prepare for the next
Yeah, we don't have the advantage of having video and everything, but he would go back in the video room, and then he would, when he was a younger hitter, he'd become, okay, I made a mistake here, but then he'd become mechanical, except, what got him to the big leagues was being an athlete and being, super fast and quick to the ball. When you become robotic, like you've said many times, robotic never works. Mm-hmm. You beat yourself.
Well, yeah, I mean, every time I say this a lot because I see people, they give private lessons. That's great. You understand what a swing should look like. And anyone, if they really set their mind to it, they can figure out what a good swing or what good mechanics are, because we have the internet, we have science. People are breaking down swings all the day. I mean, every day. They know what a swing should look like. So you got people giving private lessons, and they're helping kids out with their swing, only their swing. So a kid, they're in a cage with them, throwing them soft toss or having them hit off the tee, and he got a beautiful swing, but why can't he hit? I mean, there's so much more to being a robot. All right, I get the thousands of reps, but what about the 1,000 mental reps that you didn't take or whatever? And then that's what's causing you to go back to the bench after every at-bat.
That's what causes failure in hitters in whatever level of baseball you play when that happens.
Yeah, I mean, I've had a pretty good swing. I don't get a hit every time. The swing is, it takes an athlete to connect with a ball. So if you never played before, but you got pretty good hand-eye, you can make contact with the ball. Is it going to be beautiful? Maybe not. But if you're like, I'm going to go up there and touch the ball, I'm sure you can make contact, right? That doesn't take too much mechanics into it. No. But it really comes down to, when you separate it like that, there's a mindset involved. And now if you give that mindset a good swing, now we're getting somewhere.
Yeah.
All right, I got one last thing for you before we wrap up.
Okay.
I saw something on, I just thought of it while we were talking. I saw something on social media today. I thought it was really interesting. I'm thinking about maybe implementing it with the way I do things. It was someone was recording a pitcher warming up before the inning or in between innings, and they had there was a radar gun, so someone was clocking. But the post was about, here's a good thought or question for someone to answer. Why, when the pitcher's warming up, they give the catcher signs like, I'm throwing my curveball now, throwing my fastball now. So the whole other team is like, oh, he's throwing his slider, he's throwing his curveball, let's watch, let's see what he has. Not that they can't see what he has if he doesn't give him the sign, but if he throws his slider and says he's throwing his slider, well, now I know that's for sure his slider, that's what it looks like. Versus, why doesn't the catcher just do it like a real game and sit down and tell him to throw different pitches while he's warming up? Because then he throws a slider. Maybe the kids on the bench was like, was that his slider or his curveball? Or did he throw a changeup there?
You should say instead of the pitcher signaling.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because we know, all right, if he's not going to give me signs, I got to warn my catcher. But if we're on the same page, hey, I'm warming up right now, throw a couple things down for me.
How many players have you seen are really diligent about watching pitchers warm?
Well, it depends on the level. It depends on the players, and it depends on
How
the
many
level
players
of
on your
competition.
college team?
I would say maybe a quarter.
That's not a lot.
It's not a lot, but
I'll take the quarter of those that are watching because you can learn so much like by just watching a pitcher warm up. You need every single advantage when you're facing pitching.
And the thing is, everyone should be up on their feet every inning, even if the pitcher's been pitching for 5 innings.
Impossible.
But you know what I mean? It's like
I watched the White Sox in the dugout.
The discipline that you could have to do that.
And they don't watch.
Yeah.
They're busy. They're busy talking to each other. There's only a couple that are just really intent. And, there's not a lot of major league players in the White Sox anymore. But I watch the Cubs, too, and they're just, they're screwing around on a bench. And there's only a couple guys that are watching. I think Rizzo's a guy that watches a lot. I think Bryant maybe is, too. But they're two great players.
And that's why,
still, how good are they? And they're both batting .260. How tough is pitching? So you should watch every single chance you get. So if you see that, maybe, and these guys got scouting reports, they watch video, but today the breaking ball is really breaking, or it's not breaking enough, and we can get that, or we can't get that.
Or maybe he's not getting over the plate, and it's his curveball. Like, now you're seeing it. And now, before you get in the box, you don't have to take strike one or something. You know what I mean? He's looping that curveball for a strike. So you don't have to wait till you're already in the box to waste a strike. You know what's going to happen. He's consistently doing it, or he's consistently throwing in the dirt. You should probably take it.
Right.
That's why I think. I mean, that's kind of that was a good question that I never really thought about. Like, of course, you're telling the catcher you're throwing so he's ready, but if you have a system in place where he lays stuff down for you.
That's actually a great idea.
Because someone like me, I know sometimes when I'm on the sideline, I can't always differentiate a changeup and a fastball if the changeup is like slightly different,
Right.
But if he's doing that, I'm like, okay, that's his changeup. And then that's clearly a changeup. If I don't know off the top, then sometimes I'm not sure. And so that right there is giving me an advantage by telling the catcher you're throwing a changeup because I can see it then.
Well, in between innings, and this is what you're talking about.
Yeah.
We don't throw any breaking ball.
You guys don't?
We work out on the sidelines because we just want guys to get their arms warm for the next inning. And if the guy's having trouble with breaking balls, he might throw 1 or 2. But other than that, there's 8 pitches between innings, and that's what they do.
Yeah, that's good. And also, that's a fair point as well because, if your breaking ball is not working, you should know well before the game's starting.
Well, you've heard that I got my breaking ball back in the 4th inning, or I found my breaking ball in the 4th inning. Sometimes pitchers just don't have a feel for it early in the game.
Yeah.
And they rely on location and taking some speed off their fastball, changing speeds. But then they find it somehow because they've thrown it so many times.
Or they settle in. They're not trying to be too fine. That happens a lot in the beginning, especially with high school pitchers. I mean, the game starts and it's a big deal. Like if you're
did you see
you're the leadoff hitter and maybe you're a little tense. You're the starting pitcher and you're trying to get ahead. Everyone wants to start the first pitch of the game with a strike. I mean, that's a relief in itself, getting that first pitch out of the way. When you hear a strike on the black, that's great.
That's just like golfing off the first tee.
Yeah, there's a lot of nerves.
Yeah, get that. Don't dub it. Don't hit it. Don't hit it out to the right.
Yep.
Please hit it down the middle or just a little in the rough.
Exactly. So there's definitely a lot more nerves than when you settle in the 4th.
There was a pitcher yesterday or 2 days ago that gave up 6 home runs to the Nationals from the Brewers. So obviously he didn't find anything, but he was a spot starter because they ran out of starters. So sometimes you just don't have it.
That's it.
And he's a reliever, and they were looking for a starter and gave up 6 home runs. That's how good these hitters are too. Because if you miss your location and throwing hard, they're still going to hit it out. It's just like batting practice.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Well, because they're looking. No one's looking for a ball. I mean, it's possible. Correct myself. It's possible that someone's looking for a ball in a shitty area, right? But generally, no one's looking for a ball in a shitty area. They're looking for a ball in a good area, and that good area tends to be the bad area for pitchers, right? So if my average is 500 when it's middle out, I'm going to be looking middle out, and if you miss your spot in, I'm going to hit it far. So that's that's how fine pitchers have to be and how ready hitters have to be to hit it when they make a mistake.
You know what's crazy? When people who aren't in our profession, they said, "Why did he swing at that pitch?" Well, he's guessing fastball, and a guy throws a pitch that looks like a fastball and ends up hitting the dirt, and the guy misses it early in the count by 5 feet. I said, why did he swing at that pitch? Doesn't he know any better? I said, you try to go up there and try to hit that. They're guessing fastball first pitch because they want to hit it out. And when they don't get it, they just continue to swing and they miss it. But now they're going to make adjustments.
Sometimes they can hold up, but
so they're just going to finish it off, okay? And they're going to miss it on purpose because they're so fooled they don't want to even get a foul ball off of it. So now, okay, that's why there's 3 strikes. Okay, he steps out and said, well, I'll go back to my mentality. I'm not going to try to hit it out. I'm going to try to hit the ball in the middle of the diamond or whatever they do.
Yeah.
And so the swings are more normal. And it drives me crazy when people say, why did he swing at that pitch? Well, it's really hard to even make contact against big league pitchers.
Yeah, I get that too. That actually is a great point that you make. The only time I get really pissed off is when it's the same hitter doing it over and over again. Yeah. Now I'm thinking, okay, gearing up for a fastball is one thing, but not being able to recognize a pitch over and over and over again is another thing.
Well, would you say that that was the case with
Javier
Baez striking out 5 times?
He's the number one guy that pops in my head every time. I hate watching him at bat. I mean, he's a great player, but I hate watching him up at the plate. I think he has a terrible approach.
Well, there's a difference between the two of them. Okay, Matt Davidson struck out 5 times in a game last month or 2 months ago, and Javier Baez struck out 5 times against a shitty White Sox staff 3 days ago. So what's the difference? Matt Davidson is still learning the game, and he's got he doesn't recognize pitches well, but he's a coming hitter. Baez has been in the league 3 years now, and he was just so undisciplined. He didn't play I don't think he played the last 2 days of the series because that was just giving away at bats, and he was just trying to hit a home run every time because, hey, the White Sox stink. So I'm just going to try to hit a home run every time up. And these are big league pitchers. They got him out 5 times on strikeouts.
It doesn't matter who you are. If you're
in the same swing every time.
You got to come to play. If you're in the big leagues, you have to come. No matter who it is.
This is professional baseball.
And honestly,
you get
that's a mentality no matter what that you should have. Because if you're a high school player that has some more potential than other kids and you kind of got by on your talent, you show up like that every day, you're not going to be that guy that goes to the league. Yeah. And that's plain and simple. So you need to show up every day like anything could happen.
Baez didn't show up that day. If he was really philanthropic, he would give all the people their money back that came out to watch him play because he sucked and he didn't make any adjustments. It was pathetic.
Yeah. All right, I like that. Dave and Joe. Guys, we're also on iTunes and Google Play, so if you're at work or something, you can definitely tune in there.
We're everywhere, and thanks for the continued...
Thanks for the comments, the shares on any instructional videos if you're watching this as well. We appreciate that.
And all the new people that signed up.
Anybody who's liked our page.
We're loving it. And we're going to get bigger and better. And thanks for all your support.
Yep. All right. Dave and Joe, signing off.
Bye.